My vision is one where every African has access to clean, affordable, and renewable energy. That's what our uniqueness is. And what energy becomes a cornerstone of Africa's economic prosperity. That's what we have been implementing so far in order to involve all the stakeholders.
The reason that London and Paris are growing is because they have the infrastructure to grow. The people in Paris and London do not do any miracle. If we grant the people in Lagos the same access to infrastructure, road, electricity, they will be able to do exactly what those in London are doing, what those in New York are doing, in the sense of being able to get the raw material, process it, preserve it, and then repropose it to the market.
Thank you so much for having me here on this amazing show, Obehi. It's one of my greatest honors to be here.
Thank you. I appreciate the time for taking the time to join us today. The last time that we talked, it was really very interesting, the conversation that we had. And of course, today we are talking about something, though completely different, but also highly important, talking about energy. So could you let me know, or let the audience know, how did you get into energy, the energy sector?
Thank you so much, Obehi. It's, as I said previously, it's one of my greatest honors to be here today. And my journey into the energy sector began not really from a textbook or a traditional career path, but really from a deep-seated belief that access to energy is a fundamental driver of social and economic empowerment as well. And growing up in the regions in Guinea, whereby energy scarcity was more the norm than the exceptions, and I saw how unreliable power not only limited potential but stunted growth in communities as well. This led me to believe that if we could solve the energy crisis in Africa, we will unlock immense possibilities, not just for economic growth, but for education, healthcare, and overall quality of life. But you have to understand something, that it was these convictions that brought me to Selectra International, a company that has been at the forefront of revolutionizing Africa's energy landscape with renewable solutions. What really excites me about Selectra is its commitment to not just providing energy, but creating a movement that empower entire communities. Thank you.
You were talking of Guinea when you were still there, no? Tell us, what do you remember about the energy situation in Guinea, to be precisely at the time? Because I want people to be able to make the connection. Of course, later we'll be making connection also to other area. So help me understand what you remember of your Guinea time.
To connect the dots all together, I will practically say that when I was in my country, I was facing a lot of electricity scarcity over there. It was very complicated for me even to study. At some point, I had to go to the stations, for instance, whereby we can have like some street light in order to take our lessons over there. And I grew up in that situations over there, whereby I had to handle the situations in order to survive. And most of my friends with whom we grew up with had also that kind of situations. But from time to time, with the political change and so on, we have been facing some of the innovations in terms of electricity, because Guinea is the largest reserve of bauxite. We are the water tower of West Africa. We provide water to and supply water to different countries in the regions over there, Senegal, Mali, and so on. And the former president of Guinea, Alpha Conde, made a dam whereby we had at some point some electricity. We call that in our country as a slogan, tool. It's like today I have electricity, tomorrow I don't have electricity, my neighborhood has electricity. But that changed a little bit, and it was somehow easy for us in order to take our lesson home, not to go on the street in order to take our lessons.
All what you're saying there, it's a picture of what many people we remember also in Nigeria, in that even though we do have the potential to be able to leverage the power of solar and other sources of energy that are valuable to us, many people still live in darkness. In fact, when we want to quote the megawatts of electricity that we have in countries in Africa, it's as if we need to be moderate, as if we don't really need it. But we do. We do, in the sense that if you want to keep your fishes in a way that you can use it tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, and the day after tomorrow, because you need to move to the city, you need to travel several thousands of kilometers to move from where you fish to where the people are going to consume it, and also how you're going to preserve it so that it can be available to be consumed the next year. You're going to do this using electricity, you know? So we need it. We need, I remember, for example, in 2010, I wrote a book that I titled On the Development in Africa, My Hands Are Clean. I was saying, look at a city like London and a city like Paris and a city like Lagos, and take light in London and in Paris. What will happen to them will be like what is happening in Lagos. The reason that London and Paris are growing is because they have the infrastructure to grow. The people in Paris and London do not do any miracle. If we grant the people in Lagos the same access to infrastructure, road, electricity, they will be able to do exactly what those in London are doing, what those in New York are doing, in the sense of being able to get the raw material, process it, preserve it, and then repropose it to the market. But these people are in darkness. We are in darkness in Africa. When we want to talk about the amount of energy that we consume on our day-to-day economy, is surprisingly low. And we want the people to compete in the global market. How can we do that? So that is where I'm looking at the energy situation. So when you look at energy, now I want you to give us a kind of a global perspective. And looking at Africa, looking at West Africa, you can also look at the particular city where you are today. What is the prospect that we have here in terms of what is actually available and what we are shooting for in terms of energy supply, generation, and supply in Africa? What do you say about that?
Your question is very well articulated and with a vision and a critical perspectives. But I have to contextualize your perspectives to the situation that I've been living in Rwanda. I think the government of Rwanda has made a mind in order to contribute to the leadership. And this is the leadership that I'll always talk about, servant leadership. I remember we had a workshop whereby I went to visit Rusumo Power Plant. Rusumo Power Plant is a joint power plant with Rwanda, Burundi, Tanzania, and Congo as well. That was very surprising. When I went over there, I realized that their leadership was very, very, very visionary and articulated in a way that whereby all the regions had electricity. It's kind of a regulation system that they created for people to get involved into the process, whereby everyone is involved and people consume and pay, like a strategy called pay as you go. But in our country back home, for instance, that strategy is tend to be very hard for people to get involved into. And the government, they have created some system whereby it's very, very complicated for for them in order to execute that, to implement that. I think from my perspectives and the things that I have been living in, and I have been also grasping whereby traveling in different countries around the world. And I realized that it's a matter of leadership and vision, and whereby we have to implement what you are saying, the calculations within the saying and the action. For me, there's three stuffs that we are supposed to understand. We have regulation, we have management, and we have policy. And in our country, we have some policies that are very well articulated on paper, but very hard or even angelic in terms of implementation of that. You can't even see the implementation of stuff. But here in Rwanda, where I am in, they do not have water. They don't have water compared to West Africa, whereby we have a huge reserve of water, we have ocean, we have rivers and everything stuff. But they have ensured that the leadership that is envisioned here, you have to implement what is on the paper. You have a policy, and that policy is supposed to be known not by your word, but the actions through what you are doing. And everything's very well correlated in terms of the stuff that they are doing. That's why we have electricity in Rwanda. I think it's very hard for me currently in Rwanda to have electricity shortage. I'm telling you the truth. That's the reality. But in my country, for instance, it's not a fact of criticizing, but giving you some facts of reality that's really happening over there. It's very complicated for me to get access to electricity. Very hard. But here we have a huge opportunities for people, for youth, in order to get access to electricity. That even help them to access to different opportunities. Because when you talk about electricity, you talk about education, you talk about youth employment, you talk about different infrastructure that can be established in order to drive the country's economy. I think for my vision for Africa's energy future and how the Selectra fits into that. I think Africa is a land of sun, and we have sun compared to any continent in the world. And when I look at the future of Africa, I don't just see potential, and I see continent on the brink of a transformations. And you will see that will impact the world. And Africa is a continent rich in resources. And yet, too often, those resources remain untapped because of access to energy. And energy is the lifeblood of development. When you look at some example, for instance, from healthcare to education to agriculture, all sectors depend on energy to fuel innovations and growth. But however, too many African communities are still without access to reliable and affordable power. And this is where Selector International comes in. Our mission is very clear. We are not just powering homes, we are powering Africa's future. And through our innovation renewable energy solution, we are enabling communities across the continent to not just survive, but thrive. We are leveraging solar technology to create solutions that are sustainable, scalable, and most importantly, inclusive. This is about transforming the African energy landscape from the group up and the ground up, but it's not just about providing energy. It's about creating a ripple effect that touches every aspect of life. Take Rwanda, for instance, a country that has demonstrated that what visionary leadership can achieve in terms of energy access, what I was talking about, recently. Under the guidance of Excellency Paul Kagame, Rwanda is leading the charge in energy access with 82% of its population now connected to electricity, and a target to reach 100% by 2030. That's the vision behind it. And this is the kind of leadership that we need across Africa: ambitious, focused, and also sustainable. And when I try to contextualize about our work at Solectra, we are proud to be part of this journey through our partnerships, including the ones with Econ Light in Africa. We are helping to bring energy to the remotest corners of the continent. That has been implemented in different countries, in Guinea, in Mali, in different countries around the world. But we have to understand something, that the visions of the access to energy is not about me, it's about us. It's about us in the way that our different actions of creativity and innovations are rely on energy. Without energy, there won't be development.
I like what you're saying there. That is really very important. Without energy, nothing can happen. That is so true. Energy is the brain of everything. Uh, uh, so the question, the curiosity that I'm having now is, how do you really generate energy? What can you say about that?
In terms of the energy generations, what we currently do is that we collaborate with different sectors, what we call PPP, public-private partnerships, and collaborating with different countries around the world as well, whereby we do not have some technical staffs, and we collaborate with them in order to get the solar power or the solar home system, for instance, from China, from Japan, and different countries as well that provide the energy system, for instance, France. And then we try to provide that energy to the local communities, whereby we have a strategy of payment that we call pay as you go. So they are going to be paying through installment. And it's from time to time that we are going to be having the revenue of our product. And apart from that, for the street light can be implemented through the partnership with the government that we have been doing so far in different countries around the world, Niger, Guinea, Mali, and even in Rwanda. So, so we have a collaboration whereby we tend to provide that street light. We have a huge reputations in Guinea, for instance, under the leadership of the former president of Guinea, Alpha Conde. We have implemented the street light over there, and that has galvanized our production leads as well, especially also in Mali. It's not an easy stuff, by the way. It's not an easy peasy thing, because you are providing electricity to the people, but especially to the rural areas, not the urban areas, because that's the place whereby we have agriculture, and the infrastructure has supposed to be made as well and well established. And we don't have some roads. You have to have some technicians in order to go up there, in order to talk to people, to let them know about the use of the solar panels, for instance, or even the street light, or even the solar home system. They are not aware of that. They are not really educated about that. You have to raise awareness on that issue, in order to let them know that the importance of the solar home system, for them to get used to. It's very difficult. That's the first part. The second part is that you have to convince them on the payment installment, because they're not used on the strategy, what we commonly call pay as you go. That's also another main stuff that you are supposed to implement. The third stuff is that when we go over there, we're not only making money, but we are impacting the life of the community, whereby we are recruiting and hiring, some local workforces in order to be our agents over there and galvanize, the energy, use in the area.
Another thing somebody might be maybe curious about now, or maybe might like to know is if you could say anything about the installation, like how does it work? Now you meet a client who is maybe in a particular city. You need to get the tools installed in his or her house. How does that part work, and how do you build up sensitization about that?
Okay, when we are bringing our product, for instance, we install that for free. And when we finish installing that for free, we are going to raise awareness on the use of that solar home systems. And after that, they have an initial payment plan that they are supposed to pay. And after paying that, from time to time, after 3 months, it depends on the revenue that they have. They have it's very easy for them to pay. So they are going to be paying like 3 months or 4 months till 1 year, for instance, or 2 years, so that they can get paying the money that they have to pay. And that's the only stuff. And And I think that has been a successful plan for most rural areas whereby our project and our products have been also used over there. Our uniqueness is that we have a guarantee of 1 year. And within that 1 year, any problem that you have, we can also repair that. We can bring our agent over there. And our agents that we are going to be hiring will be the local agents, by the way, and we are going to train them about the use of the products. So if they have a specific problems, for instance, in that region, our local agent will come there and sort out that issue. That's the start. And I realize that most companies, in terms of the renewable energy, specifically the solar home system, they tend not to have that kind of system. That's what we have invented under the leadership of our CEO and founder, Samba Bachir. Our CEO and founder has been working into the renewable energy for almost 20 years. Solectra is one of the subsidiaries of ADS Group African Development Solution. And that has been now almost 20 years now. And he has been into the renewable energy for years and years. And he has a huge experience, and I have been trained under his leadership as well, under his mentorship as well. So the thing is, we are not only making money, but we are trying to impact the life of people around us. So the products that we're going to be providing is a highly premium product, and we don't provide products that are not very efficient, because most of the product that we have, especially are for France, and those products are very premium, because the price is at some point, competitive compared to some products that we see in some different companies that are not very efficient and crappy. And what I have to tell you now is that we have been, showing our performance, and we have a successful operations and different, project that we have been, implementing different African countries, especially Rwanda, Guinea, Mali, Niger, and so on. And I have to tell you that the solar energy operations is not an easy stuff. It's very hectic. You have to enjoy it. You have to love it in order to make more impact in your community. I have my photo. I have been trained into electricity, power, and how to get used to some electricians, what they are doing, the installation in the houses. And when I had that photo, you have a blazer that you're supposed to wear and the cask. And most of my friends would say, Bashida, you are the electrician. They don't understand. that you're an electrician. I didn't know that you're an electrician. I said, no, I'm not an electrician. I'm into renewable energy. So you have to put your hands into the mud in order to know exactly the solution that you are supposed to implement in that region or the specific community that you want your solution to be implemented.
Now, you understand what is happening there, and also maybe what the people need to be able to benefit more from what you are offering in terms of the energy. But on the part of the infrastructure, see, maybe looking at the government and the policies, what do you recommend that maybe they need to do more in order to facilitate this process of getting energy into the hands of ordinary African people?
What's very important is the government to put in place some policies that are very relevant or actionable, tangible for the solar power companies in order to implement their strategies. Because in some countries, they don't really facilitate the process of the use of renewable energy. But in terms of taxes, in terms of different government regulations, it's very hard for some companies that are into renewable energy to operate in some specific countries. So for me, what I can say that in order to make sure that the energy has access to different countries in Africa, the government has to put in place some policies that are going to promote the renewable energy. It doesn't really cost me to power. It depends on the family, on the family's sustainability in terms of expenses and what they do like. That's what we provide. For instance, a family whereby you have five, you have five kids, for instance, and it's just a matter you can provide like 2 solar home system, for instance, install that. That will help you in order to get access to electricity. It will directly help you to get access to electricity, your TV, your fridge, and everything. And we have different type of solar home system, and that we can also provide. And you have solar heat waiver, whereby you can also have hot water as well. And it's very transformative and innovative. It depends on what the customer needs, not what we want the customer to get.
Okay, I'm looking at the average cost. I'm not saying tell me exactly what is the cost, but give me kind of an average cost so that somebody can think and say, if I can tell you what is an average cost in Nigeria, for example, of a solar system in the house.
The solar home systems is approximately in the range of $100 to $200, something like that. They are going to be paying that through installment. They have a use time in order to pay that. That's very flexible for them to get access to energy and also having that flexibility to pay without having any stress.
All right. Okay. That is clear. And if somebody want to maybe learn more, they want to contact you, they want to do business with you, so how can they reach out to you?
They can reach out to me through our website, ADS Group, Africa Development Solution Group, or through our direct subsidiary called Selectra. And I can also put our number and also the email as well. So they can directly reach out to us, and we are very responsive through the emails and the direct contacts that we can also reach out to them as well. From time to time, with the energy accessibility in Africa, I think most African people will get accustomed to it, because the moment the government tends to promote the policies and the regulations in terms of facilitating the energy access, I think that will be a use point for us. And in terms of companies that also provide energy, specifically the solar home system, the street light, and so on, they have to understand something. You cannot drive alone. You have to make sure that you know this system called PPP. Most of our projects, that's what we do. We tend to collaborate with the government in order also to get involved into the process and also let new people about the stuff, about the use of energy. I think from that on, in the next years to come, we are going to be seeing that most African will love to see energy in their home. The solar home system, for instance, the street light, for instance. And that will be something very empowering and very impactful, because we have a huge potential Africa. We have sun. We have sun. And when you go to America, they do not have a lot of sun, but they tend to promote the solar systems over there. And we can also do the same and even move forward from that, because that is huge potential. And that's what we have been doing for the last 20 years, investing into the renewable energy. That's why we even collaborated with Econ Light in Africa, whereby we have been raising awareness on that. And we have been impacting the life of millions of people in Africa, whereby we have been, raising awareness on the use of solar home system before even so many, solar companies came in order to invest into that.
I remember before we started to record just now, we were talking about the Econ Light African project. I don't know if you want to maybe educate the public about it, because there are many people who do not have any idea of what this means, even though they might not be hearing and seeing Acorn in the publicity. Could you say something more about that?
Oh, the Econ Light in Africa project is done yet because the mission has already accomplished in Africa. Now it's currently in the US now with the Econ. And I think this is something that we have been also empowering because we had a partnership with Econ. We helped to bring energy to the remote corners of the continent. And Acon's vision was combined with Solectra's commitment. It wasn't a business line, but just empowering people to let know people about the importance of renewable energy, of solar home system, those kind of stuff. And that's created a powerful force for change. And we aimed to establish digital innovation hubs, drive innovative finance solutions, and ultimately empower the next generation of Africans to lead the continent into a bright, renewable powered future. That's what Selectra is currently doing under the leadership of Mohamed Bachir. And you have to know something that Africa is at a crossroads. And the choices we make now will determine the future we build. And sometimes we are more than just a company, we are a catalyst for change. My vision is one where every African has access to clean, affordable, and renewable energy. That's what our uniqueness is. And where communities are also empowered to innovate, and where energy becomes a cornerstone of Africa's economic prosperity. That's what we have been implementing so far in order to involve all the stakeholders to get engaged into the process that we have been making for a while. If they want to get us, we are very available for the business corporations.
Thank you so much, Mohamed. I appreciate your time and also the information that you have shared with the people here about what you are doing in your business. This is an important conversation that we need to have more time. Well, that is where we come to the end of the conversation today, and I want to thank you for having accompanied us to the end of the conversation. So if there is anything that you learn here that you want to take away from here, let us know in the comment section below. It is important for us to understand if what we are saying even makes sense to you. And of course, make sure you also subscribe to this channel and share also with other people who are interested in learning about the value that we are sharing here in Obehi Podcast. Have a wonderful time and bye for now.